Move. You did.
Make me!
I'm not running.
You got lucky.
Luck doesn't teach discipline.
What are you?
A mother who learned that strength isn't about hurting people. I'm fine.
The first mistake Derek Cole made that Saturday wasn't throwing the punch. It was assuming the woman standing in front of him had something to prove. He saw a black single mother in a faded denim jacket, worn sneakers and a simple ponytail, holding her 8-year-old daughter's hand at the county fair. He saw someone small enough to ignore, quiet enough to intimidate, and tired enough to avoid trouble. What he didn't see was the discipline behind her calm expression. He didn't know she'd spent 16 years as a U.S. Marine, serving in places where losing control for even 1 second could cost someone their life. Maya Carter wasn't at the fair looking for a fight. She was there because her daughter Nia had begged her for weeks. For Maya, moments like this mattered. After years of uniforms deployments, long nights and decisions nobody should have to make, she built a civilian life around something much simpler, making sure her daughter could grow up believing the world was still a good place. The fair was packed that afternoon. Children ran between food stands, carnival lights flashed beneath the summer sun, and the smell of fried dough, barbecue, and sweet lemonade hung heavily in the air. Police officers from the county sheriff's department moved through the grounds, helping families, directing traffic, and keeping an eye on the enormous crowd. Maya noticed them immediately, not because she was afraid of police, because she understood what it meant to protect people. She also noticed everything else. The crowded exits, the intoxicated man arguing near the rides, the loose metal barrier beside the parking entrance, the teenager running too fast through a crowd of children. Nia noticed none of it. She was too busy staring at a giant blue cotton candy cone. "Mom, please." Maya laughed. "1 cotton candy, 2-1. "Okay, 1 giant one." Maya shook her head, smiling as she handed over the money. For a few seconds, she wasn't a Marine. She wasn't a veteran. She wasn't the woman who had learned to remain calm when everyone else was panicking. She was simply Mom then. Derek Cole walked into the line. 26 years old, regional MMA fighter. Fresh off a knockout victory. Expensive sunglasses, designer shorts. Tattooed arms, 3 friends behind him filming everything for social media. He wasn't walking through the fair. He was making people move. And when the crowd didn't move quickly enough, Derek made sure they knew who he thought he was. Move people stepped aside. Everyone except Maya, because she hadn't even noticed him yet. Nia suddenly stepped backward while reaching for her cotton candy. Derek's 32-ounce lemonade collided with Maya's shoulder. The cup exploded. Ice and sticky yellow lemonade soaked Derek's shirt, shorts, and expensive white sneakers. The crowd went silent. Derek stared down at himself, then slowly looked at Maya. She immediately raised both hands. "I'm sorry, my daughter stepped back. It was an accident." Derek looked at the little girl, then at Maya, then at the crowd already turning toward them. His embarrassment became anger, and that was when the first sheriff's deputy noticed the gathering crowd, because sometimes the most dangerous moment isn't when someone throws a punch. It's when a wounded ego realizes it has an audience. Derek stared at the lemonade dripping from his designer shorts, as if Maya had committed some unforgivable crime. "How just ruined my shoes?" Maya glanced down. The expensive white sneakers were soaked, but she didn't flinch. "I said, I'm sorry, it was an accident. Shall pay for the drink." Derek laughed. The drink, his friends laughed with him. Maya recognized the sound immediately. Not confidence, insecurity. Looking for witnesses, she reached for Nia's hand. "Come on, sweetheart." Derek stepped sideways, blocking them. Maya stopped. "Excuse me." "You think you can just walk away?" The crowd around them began to slow. A few people pulled out their phones. The fair continued around them, children screaming on rides, music playing from the midway, but a small circle of silence was forming around Maya and Derek. One of the county sheriff's deputies noticed it from several yards away. Deputy Marcus Reed had spent 12 years working public events. He knew the difference between a harmless argument and a confrontation about to become physical. He immediately started moving toward them, but before he reached the group, Derek leaned closer to Maya. "You people always think you can disrespect somebody and then hide behind an apology." Maya's expression didn't change. She looked at Nia. Stay right beside me. Derek smiled. What's wrong? You don't have anything to say. Maya finally looked directly at him. I've already said everything I needed to say. There was no anger in her voice. That seemed to irritate him more. He expected fear. He expected an argument. Instead, he got composure. Derek puffed out his chest. You know who I am, Maya almost smiled no. That single word hit his ego harder than the spilled lemonade. His friends started laughing, but Derek wasn't amused. I'm a professional fighter, Maya nodded. Good for you. You've never heard of Valley Brawl. No, the crowd reacted with scattered laughter. Derek's jaw tightened. Maya wasn't trying to embarrass him. She genuinely didn't care. Her entire world was standing beside her in pink sneakers, holding a half-eaten blue cotton candy. That was when Derek made his biggest mistake. He confused restraint with weakness. He stepped closer. Deputy Reed was now only a few yards away. Ma'am, everything okay here? He called. Maya glanced toward him. We're fine, Deputy. Derek turned toward Reed. This woman just assaulted me. Reed looked at the soaked shoes, then at Maya, then at Nia. Sir, did she assault you? Derek hesitated. She knocked my drink into me accidentally. Derek's friends immediately started talking over each other. Yeah, but she doesn't care. She was disrespectful. She should pay for everything. Reed raised one hand, one person at a time. Maya appreciated that, not because she needed rescuing, because good policing wasn't about taking sides. It was about slowing the situation down before somebody made a decision they couldn't undo. Derek wasn't interested in slowing down. He stepped toward Maya again. You owe me, Maya calmly answered. I owe you an apology for an accident. Nothing more. Derek's face hardened. And the crowd suddenly realized the lemonade wasn't the real problem anymore. The real problem was that Derek had found someone he couldn't intimidate. Derek stepped closer, until Maya could smell the energy drink on his breath. You heard me, he said. You're paying for those shoes. Maya kept one hand around Nia's back. Away from my daughter. Her voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be, Derek smirked. Or what? Deputy Marcus Reed moved closer. So give her some space. Derek glanced at him and laughed. This doesn't involve you, it involves me. The moment a disturbance starts putting a child at risk, Reed answered. That sentence changed the atmosphere. Several people in the crowd nodded. A mother pulled her own child closer. Someone near the lemonade stand quietly told another deputy what was happening. Maya looked at Reed. I've got it. Reed studied her for a moment. Ma'am, you don't have to handle this alone. Maya understood what he meant. She also understood something many people forget. Accepting help doesn't make a person weak. Thank you, she said. Then she looked back at Derek. Walk away. Derek's smile disappeared. A black woman standing calmly in front of him was supposed to be intimidated by his size, his tattoos, his reputation, and the crowd watching. Instead, she was giving him an opportunity to leave with his dignity intact. He couldn't accept it. You think you're tough. No, then why aren't you scared? Maya looked down at Nia. Because I'm focused on her. Derek suddenly reached forward and shoved Maya hard in the shoulder. The crowd gasped. Maya took one step back. But she didn't fall. She immediately turned toward Nia. Baby, go stand beside Deputy Reed. Nia's eyes widened. Mom, now. The little girl ran to the deputy. Reed positioned himself between Nia and the crowd. You're safe with me, he told her. Maya slowly turned back. Something about her had changed. The softness remained in her face, but the uncertainty was gone. Derek bounced on his feet, convinced he'd finally forced the confrontation he wanted. Come on, he said. Let's see what you've got. Maya looked at his stance for only a second. Then she looked at his shoulders, his feet, his hands, his breathing, and Derek suddenly realized that the woman he'd been trying to intimidate wasn't looking at him like a frightened civilian anymore. She was assessing him like a professional. The retired Marine had finally stopped trying to leave the fight behind. Maya took one slow breath. The fairground noise seemed to fade around her. Derek raised his fists, feeding off the crowd's attention. He expected panic instead. Maya stood completely still. Last chance, she said quietly. Walk away, Derek laughed. Then he lunged. Deputy Reed immediately moved Nia farther behind him. Stay here, sweetheart. Derek's right shoulder dropped. Maya saw it. Years of Marine training had taught her that violence rarely begins with the fist. It begins with the decision to throw it. She stepped aside. Derek's punch tore through empty air. His momentum carried him forward. Maya moved with him, not against him. One precise step, one controlled movement. Then her palm struck his chest and redirected his balance. Derek stumbled before he could recover. Maya delivered a short, perfectly timed counter that dropped him onto the packed dirt. The entire crowd went silent. It had happened so quickly that several people didn't even understand what they'd witnessed. Derek tried to push himself up. Maya didn't strike him again. She simply stepped back, stay down. Her voice was calm. Deputy Reed immediately approached. "Everybody back up." Another sheriff's deputy called for medical assistance, while Reed kept the crowd away from Derek. Maya stood with her hands visible. She wasn't celebrating, she wasn't smiling. She wasn't looking for applause. She walked straight toward Nia. The little girl ran into her arms. "Mommy, I'm right here." Reed watched Maya carefully. He had seen fights before. He had seen people lose control. He had seen frightened civilians react wildly when threatened. This was different. Maya had stopped the threat and immediately returned her attention to her child. Reed lowered his voice. "Ma'am." "Are you hurt?" "I'm fine." "You trained?" Maya hesitated years ago. Reed looked at the way she stood, the controlled breathing, the deliberate movements. Military Maya didn't answer. Behind them, Derek's friends were staring at the phone footage they had recorded. The video had captured everything: the insults, the shove, the punch, and the single defensive counter. There was no confusion about who started the fight. Then an older black female sheriff's deputy arrived and looked at Maya's posture. Her expression changed. She had recognized something familiar. "Marine?" she asked quietly. Maya looked at her for the first time that afternoon. She knew her past wasn't going to stay hidden. The older black female deputy stepped closer. Studying Maya's face. "Where did you serve?" Maya hesitated. "Marine Corps." The deputy nodded slowly. "I knew it." Derek's friends went silent. Deputy Reed looked at the phone footage again. The video showed everything clearly: the confrontation, the shove, Derek throwing the first punch, and Maya stopping the attack with a single controlled counter. "No charges against her," Reed said firmly. This was self-defense. Derek's friend tried to protest. "But she knocked him out." Reed looked at him. "Your friend attacked her. The video doesn't lie." The older deputy turned toward Maya. "You don't owe anybody an explanation for surviving an attack." Maya looked at Nia, who was still standing safely beside Reed. "Thank you," the deputy smiled. "You protected your daughter. We protected the scene. That's what we're supposed to do for Maya." Those words carried more weight than any applause from the crowd. She had spent years learning that real strength wasn't about dominating people. It was about discipline, responsibility, and knowing exactly when force was necessary and when it wasn't. As paramedics helped Derek onto a stretcher, the crowd watched in stunned silence. The loudest man at the fair had finally learned the difference between looking dangerous and actually being prepared, and the black woman he dismissed as an easy target had just reminded everyone that quiet doesn't mean powerless. Maya didn't wait for the crowd to applaud. She didn't look at Derek's friends. She didn't care who had recorded the fight or how many people would upload it before sunset. She only cared about Nia ready to go home. Baby Nia nodded, still holding the edge of her mother's jacket. As they walked toward the parking lot, Deputy Reed caught up with them. "Ma'am," Maya turned. "I just wanted to say something." She waited. "I've worked fair stadiums, schools and neighborhood events for years. I've seen people get hurt because nobody was willing to walk away." He glanced toward the fairgrounds today. "You gave him every opportunity to walk away." Maya nodded. "So did you." Reed smiled. "That's the job." Those 3 words stayed with Maya. That's the job for her. Protecting Nia was her job. For Reed, protecting the public was his job. Neither needed applause for doing it. As they reached the truck, Nia looked up. "Mom, yeah. Are you a superhero?" Maya laughed for the first time since the confrontation. "No, baby, but you beat that fighter. I protected myself. You weren't scared." Maya opened the passenger door. "I was scared." Nia looked surprised. "You were, of course. Then why didn't you run?" Maya paused. "Because running isn't always the safest choice." Sometimes you have to stay calm, protect the people you love, and make the best decision you can. Nia climbed into her seat. Are you still a Marine? Maya closed the door gently. I used to be, but you're still strong. Maya smiled. Being strong doesn't mean hurting people. She buckled Nia in and walked around to the driver's side. It means knowing you could hurt someone and choosing not to, unless you absolutely have to. The truck pulled away from the fairgrounds. Behind them, the story was already spreading. Phones were uploading footage. People were arguing about Derek. Others were praising Maya. Some called her a hero, some called Derek a bully. But Maya didn't read any of it. She had learned long ago that public attention disappears quickly. Character doesn't. As the evening sun fell across the highway, Nia rested her head against the window. Mom, yeah. That deputy was nice. Maya smiled. He was, can we thank him? We will, because Maya understood something important. Courage doesn't belong to one profession, one gender, or one race. A black woman can be powerful without becoming cruel. A police officer can be firm without becoming hostile. A veteran can walk away from violence without being afraid of it. And sometimes the strongest person in the room is the one who never wanted to prove anything in the first place. Maya glanced at Nia in the mirror. Remember this, baby. Never judge somebody by how quiet they are. Nia smiled. I won't. And that's the lesson Maya hoped her daughter would carry long after the fair was forgotten. Real strength doesn't need an audience. Real courage doesn't need a camera. And real protectors don't search for fights. They protect what matters when the moment finally demands it. And now I want to hear from you. Did Maya do the right thing by defending herself? Or should she have walked away even after Derek shoved her? Tell me in the comments, because I read what you say, and your opinion can shape the next story we bring to this channel. And if you were in Maya's position, what would you have done? Would you have stayed calm, or would you have lost your temper? Let me know below and tell me what you want to see next. Another powerful black woman standing up to injustice, a corrupt officer finally facing consequences, or a retired military veteran whose hidden past shocks an entire town. Your comments aren't just reactions. They help decide which story comes next. If this story reminded you that quiet people can carry extraordinary strength, share it with someone who needs that reminder today. Because sometimes the person everyone underestimates is exactly the person they should never have provoked.